I know you're going to get into this today, but that Patrice thing, you watched it.
Oh, yeah.
I watched it too. It's a different fucking time.
Yeah.
And it takes you back.
That was Patrice being dead and seeing him there doing jokes and even the sad parts of the documentary, it made me kind of sad. Don't get me wrong. But the thing that made me the saddest was watching a bygone era of comedy and thinking like, oh, fuck, how cool was that? Like, this was what guys did, what comics did. We just kind of hung out and fucked with shit and made fun. Like that story where they're in the back of the room throwing phone books. Kevin Hart on stage. Like, that shit doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. And that was the part that got me the saddest about it.
Yeah. Did you know how good you had it back then?
Oh, you know what? I kind of did. Not how good, not as good as I thought it. Now I look back and it's the greatest thing. Because
the glory days.
You look back and everything's better when you look back on it. But even taking that factor out, it's still the greatest fucking times for comedy in this city, at least, probably the country, that you're ever going to get unless there's some kind of weird resurgence that brings it back around. But, dude, when I was watching those quick video clips of those guys just beating the shit out of each other and hanging out, and you're like, oh, look, there's fucking Jay, and there's, DiPaolo and Voss and all those guys, and you're just like, yeah, that was the shit, man.
It's like, there was a point in New York comedy where, like, when Woody Allen and those guys came up, and the Village was glamorous, and you're like, oh, what an artist haven. That's what Greenwich Village used to be.
Oh yeah,
that was fine. That was when the art was being formed. But then these guys were these badasses of comedy, like that Tough Crowd crew, and what you guys did on the show was a fuck you to everything else. It was a fuck you to mainstream success. It was all that matters is the funny, and that is so far gone now. And it's like Bobby's so funny in it, Norton's great in it, Burr's even good in it, and it's just like they're fucking fantastic. It makes me miss those days where you could just talk shit.
That was what it was so good. The documentary was really good because not only did you get this insight on Patrice if you didn't know him, even if you did know him, you saw some little things. I never saw Patrice baby pictures.
Yeah,
he was never a little. He was never a little guy. And but that part of it, they did a great job of showing Patrice, but also that time, which was so important to who Patrice was the time he was in. Some of those jokes you hear him telling, I don't care how big or how black you are as a comic, you're getting shit for that act.
Yeah.
And he did to a point back then, but he could just turn around and say, how about you go fuck off? This is what I'm doing. And that was it. It was left alone. But a lot of his bits were deemed so misogynistic. If he would have gone off now on a bit about transgender athletes, I'm sure he would touch on things like that. And they would have been like, oh, this guy, oh, this fucking guy.
I talked to Florentine and I go, a lot of people say how important Patrice would be now. Florentine goes, I think he would get so much shit for being him.
That's what I think.
And he used to, but it was that thing where it's like, no, fuck you. If it's funny, it's okay
fuck
to do.
Used to work.
Yeah. Fuck
now
you
too many people go, fuck you? No, how about fuck you? And they turn around and destroy your life.
And he was brilliant enough that it's like, even if it's misogynist, that bit about, like, what would you do if your pussy got taken out?
Oh, do I love that one.
Asshole, blowjob.
Mouth this.
Like, you had every chance to prove that being a woman is more than being a hole, and you listed two holes.
Oh, you're just a bunch of holes in a person. He goes, that's not me saying it. You said, oh, he was able to turn that shit around.
Was he ever an asshole to you, or did you have, because I'm an asshole usually, so when people go, oh, that guy's an asshole, I go, I don't experience that, because we're like on the same asshole wave. You should be on that same asshole wavelength.
I've had some dear friends over the years that have been assholes, and the reason they're your friend, part of it is that they're an asshole, and they're this and they're that. It's just part of who you are, and you accept it. Patrice was an asshole. I saw him be an asshole to so many people and people close to me, but he was never an asshole to me.
Yeah.
But there was that time, like him with girlfriends of the comics, girlfriends and wives, he just didn't want to deal with them at all.
Yeah.
And that's what's funny about it. He would be respectful, to people just because he liked you and that was how he would treat your significant other.
Yeah.
Just pleasantries. He's not sitting there having a grand conversation. But when I told him I had broken up with the girl I was with 9 years, that was like 9 fucking years. I was like, yeah, we broke up. He goes, no shit, fucking, wow, you guys seemed really tight. And I'm like, yeah, we were. He goes, I just got to ask you, now, do I ever have to talk to her again? And I'm just laughing my ass off. He goes, like, if I see her, do I even have to acknowledge? Like, no, not a peep, nothing. He goes, oh, cool, man.
There's this brilliance that he had because he would, everything he was thinking he would say, right? So there was this thing.
Yeah.
The natural timing of that comic genius. Where you don't even know where it's going because he's thinking it through, and it's almost like he's arguing with himself in his head.
But he could bring that to the stage also, which is an amazing thing. Obviously, I've seen him do the same few bits a few times over. And that look of that it's coming into his head, like he could recall probably exactly what it was like when he did first think of that joke.
Yeah.
And he got up on stage and he'd do the same, I'm not saying, and he doesn't have to finish his sentence. Yeah. That was the best thing. You knew exactly what a comic's punchline would have been at the end of that, but he could just go, and then and you go, oh, no, I know. And then he did this. Like, what he's going to say because that's the funny part. And he knows everyone knows. So he pulls back and everyone fucking laughs. The best thing a comic can do is have the audience think what you're going to say a second before you say it. Mm-hmm. Or even if you never say it at all, because it makes them go like, oh, fuck, I just thought exactly what this guy's thinking. And the whole room goes, what? And then you realize, oh, shit, everybody thought that. It's a communal thing. It's one guy on a stage making everyone kind of feel and think that same thing at an instant. And people are amazed by it. I think we're so afraid of being so alone and sheltered, and maybe what we think isn't what everyone else thinks. And when a comic goes up on stage and that whole audience goes, laughs, it's everyone going, oh, wait, we all thought that at the same fucking time. I guess I'm not like odd or this or that. And it's an amazing talent to be able to bring that out in people.
And then the only people that want to stop that are mentally ill people.
Retards, mentally ill
fucking people that are like, you can't say that. That's offensive. Even though
room of people laughed. We can't have that.
I know. I talked to Diaz and Florentine about it this weekend. I go, it's this thing where it's like, even though we deal in negative currency, which is we take this shitty stuff, you turn it into a positive thing. A room full of people laughing cannot be a bad thing. Yeah. I don't care if you're fucking Hitler telling jokes. It's still like, these people are going to leave happier than they did.
Right. Nuremberg is laughing.
Thing.
Yeah.
Fucking infuriating.
Yeah.
But great. Diaz is great. Have you seen Diaz before?
Yeah.
He did his podcast in L.A.
Yeah, did his podcast. I know he's out here in Jersey now.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about sometime in spring when the weather clears up, getting him in here.
Yeah, we got to. He's
the show.
Great dude, and his storytelling is impeccable.
Oh yeah, I sat there and listened to him talk about anything. From his love of old disco music to weed. It was like we were doing the podcast because him and that whole crew and their drugs, their fucking weed. Well, I gotta ask you, Nick, did you see the Patrice O'Neal documentary?
It's already out?
I guess that's a no. Yeah,
it's out.
It aired Friday on Comedy Central, 2 hours.
2 hours. Okay, he was funny, but 2 hours?
Yeah, it was like 10 with commercials, so I guess it's 90 minutes.
Are we going by weight now with that documentary?
It's I guess it's 90 minutes in total if you watched it without the commercials. But
Did they leave me in?
You were in there very quickly,
Very quickly? I talked to those guys for an hour.
It was a very young Nick DiPaolo on your Tough Crowd clips, which...
Thank you for pointing that out, Ian.
That was on... Well, we were all a lot younger then, Nick. I got to be honest. You still look dynamite. What am I saying? Come on.
Although you were in a lot of clips, I understand, Anthony, but why they didn't use the interview and they interviewed Opie, which I think is it's a shitbag thing to do.
They never interviewed me for it. I was interviewed for like a different one that never came to fruition years ago. Now, this one came up and they didn't think to, sit me down and maybe I could talk about Patrice hanging out at my house.
I did.
Having a great time after every show, walking to the garage and talking with the guy and, going out at gigs and having, just a great time. And, for some reason, they had clips of the O&A show, but only Opie talking during those clips. And they sat Opie down for an interview, not me. I guess I'm just too crazy and wild to actually be able to talk about Patrice O'Neal, who was, pretty crazy and offensive to a lot of people and self-destructive as far as his career went.
I gave them like 3 gems of stories. They had me in there for an hour. When I left them, like, those are all going to make the cut. You're going to tell me none of them did?
No, it was no. There was a lot of Norton was great. Norton's really sincere, and he almost looked like he was crying a couple of times. Such an emotional little fruit, Jimmy. And
I heard Bobby was in there a lot.
Maybe that was my problem. I was belly laughing.
Yeah, maybe that's it. It wasn't you weren't sad enough. Bobby was great. Bobby had some really funny stories. Voss,
That's the last time I do that shit.
It's bullshit, right? It's fucking like.
I told them, and I know why. I know this isn't about me; it's about Patrice.
Right. That's what I said.
I gave them stories that were flattering and unflattering, and in a good way. Saying that's what I respected about him. Shit that
the whole thing was like Patrice wouldn't be phony about who he was, no matter what they dangled in front of him. He would go into these meetings with various networks and movie people, producers, and he would be himself so much that he'd fuck deals up. But that's kind of what they pushed as like, wow, this guy was so genuine, and they're celebrating that. And then they pull the plug on people that are honest and genuine about themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot to do with him getting big on Tough Crowd, and he had a lot to do with me getting famous from Tough Crowd.
Yeah, you kind of a foil thing. I get it.
Well, yeah, you both were great at busting balls, and I'd say the most irreverent on that show.
Yeah, I mean, there was a natural. I'm surprised. I thought because they were like ecstatic in the stuff I said. Great fucking actors, those guys. But I think the first thing I said was, for Christ's sake, really a documentary? I mean, he was funny. I think that's the first thing I said.
That is funny.
I said, come on, if he was a white guy, would you be making a documentary? Come on. But
yeah. See that? Oh boy.
And I called out the double standard, how he got away with it. His relationship stuff is the best about women and stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, to be perfectly honest, if that came out of a white comic, you're labeled a fucking, misogynist and whatever the fuck. But I also told, how brilliant he was and how funny. We took a ride to Montreal up to the Montreal Comedy Festival, and we got to customs. We had to go in, pull over, and go into customs into the building and shit. And it was me, Bobby Kelly, him, and somebody else I can't remember. And the guy takes our passports, and he goes away for like 10 minutes, comes back, and he goes, "Okay, real serious looking. One of you has a felony in your back." And we all just looked at Patrice. And everybody was laughing and shit. I mean, I thought those were good stories, but whatever.
They were, it's weird because they never touched on that whole thing in the entire documentary. They never touched on the felony that he has. No,
surprise you, really?
No, it doesn't. But I've talked to him about it, and it seems like. They might have over-exaggerated his part and what was going on. But regardless of what it is, like, who gives a fuck? But they didn't bring that up, and anything I had to say probably wasn't worthy of putting me on that, because then you'd have to explain to certain people, why is he on there? Oh, boy, that's a problem.
What was his felony, allegedly?
Oh, he had a sexual thing.
He knocked over a gumball machine.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Some bitch cried rape. And it was most definitely bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, but why would they want you or me on there when you're paying tribute to a comic because he was known for his honesty? Why would you want two honest guys?
Yeah. He was known for his honesty and not compromising or apologizing for who he was. And it might have cost him some gigs and things, but he's looked at as a brilliant guy that's done. And then you can't. Not only can you not be honest, but there were a couple of people on that documentary I saw that was like, oh, blatantly phony. Like not only not being honest, but like paying tribute to Patrice by being a phony. Oh boy, enough already.
When it comes
probably shit on.
Yeah.
When it comes to that issue,
it's amazing. It's just amazing.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, I thought Nick should have had a bigger part in that.
You should have too.
I know, but the thing is,
that's
like,
bullshit.
Like, I think it is bullshit because I know the bullshit. I know the bullshit behind it. But
you know the reason why. But you're talking about a guy who's constantly being accused of misogyny and all this other. Like, people were shitting on Patrice for the last 5 years.
Constantly. But it was about Patrice. Not about me or anybody else that didn't make the cut, like Nick, things like that. And I think as far as showing people Patrice, I think a good job. It was a good job. It was very funny. Like I said earlier, when Aaron was on the show when we started, it was one of those things where I felt bad watching it because I remembered Patrice and he's not here with us anymore. But I felt worse over looking at the whole scene and comics and the way people used to hang out and go into clubs and the shit you would joke about and the ball busting everyone would do of each other. And that's just, it's gone. That's gone. So that part had me a little sadder than even fucking Patrice. Patrice's been gone for a while. We know this happens to people. It's a shame. I have great memories of Patrice and everything. But, that comedy thing, it's something that could still be, and it's not. And that's a sad reality.
Well, it's very sad because you had this giant thing that kind of got taken away. I mean him, but like O&A. And it's like, it's just kind of weird to watch. Like, you have Bobby and Jimmy who are very good friends with him. You were very good friends with him. So I think it's kind of important to talk about that, where it wasn't like this is 100 years ago. This is 10 years ago when comedy was thriving in a completely different aspect than it is now. I just think it's sort of doing a disservice by not having you on, because on the air, you talk about Nick and him being a foil for each other on Tough Crowd. You and him were that on O&A.
Absolutely.
You two were the most important dynamic of that show when he was on.
Yeah, that was what it was. It was us going back and forth about things. And yeah, that should have been part of it. But the very politics that kept me off of there was the shit Patrice fucking hated. He hated that bullshit. And that was exactly what it was. So what are you going to do? Like I said, watch it. It's great. Oh, of course, E-Rock. What is up?
Hi. One, I still work here. Two, I was, for the last year when I was working on it, I told you every step of the way. Is like they said they had stuff on you. They asked me for the cab challenge.
No, I remember all that, like clips.
This is what they said they had from the last time. There was something from the previous documentary that was supposed to be used, and they didn't use any of that stuff.
No, they didn't. But look, why didn't, instead of
agree.
Hey, we got that, it's like, oh, here, come in and sit down for an interview.
I agree, 100%
like
agree.
everyone else did.
Yeah.
Not, oh, we got some. That just is such a blow off. It's such like bullshit. But I understand what it is. I'm not stupid.
I mean, I don't know if I can even speak on this, so just tell me to stop. But wasn't it his ex who tried to make the last one and then money went missing or some crap?
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. It was not a GoFundMe.
It just never got. No, it was. It was some sort of donation thing, and just never got made. The other thing.
Yeah, I had donated seats in my theater to watch it when it came out. in my theater in my house.
But people pay like 10 grand for those.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
And they
boy,
didn't get.
they lost out. Where'd that money go?
The other thing, did it feel like when they were talking with Dane, his segment about Patrice being on the show, did it come off like Dane was trying to tell Patrice you're better than this to not do the show? Like we were going to keep using him as this black sidekick kind of thing, that he was really trying to tell Patrice you're more than that, you're better
I don't
than
know.
that.
You know what? It seems a little weird that someone would even say that to Patrice, knowing Patrice wouldn't put himself in a position where he's a sidekick or
Right.
anything like that. He came on the show like every other comic did, no more or less than any of the other comics did, and did a great job for us. When were we ever pushing for him to be anything more than that or anything less than that by trying to make him some flunky or sidekick? I don't know. And some people, because I read people's comments, took that as a jab at Jimmy for actually becoming part of the,
take it
the
as
show.
that. I just took it as like Dane was trying to look, you're on this show a little too much. I think you're better than this. You don't need to keep doing
They
it.
were all on the show as much as Patrice
I know,
was. Yeah.
but that's what Dane's, at least to me, that's what
Yeah.
Dane's little segment talking to
Maybe
Patrice.
the Botox creeped into his fucking head.
Yeah,
Right
he
on
might
those.
have.
Did he have
Maybe
enough
he's not
stuff on his
seen
wall?
his movies.
Yeah.
Were they posters of the shit he's been in? He just seems like such a selfless guy who would pull somebody aside and be nice to them, give them good advice.
I think I'm detecting a bit. Beep, beep. Yes, my sarcasm app is going off.
No, you don't like his movies? They're great. I'm a movie buff, and I can only picture the poster.
Yeah, that's
I
bad.
can't even. I know what was it? Employee of the Month. There's one. There's a classic.
With Dax Shepard. Yeah.
Yeah.
The poster.
And
Yeah,
Jessica
his
Simpson.
posters are always like, "Whoa, this is going to be crazy." Yeah.
Yep. He's like, you're better than that. Now come see this piece of shit.
The worst thing, not the worst thing, but when people say that, because I've gotten that plenty of times, like, what are you doing? You're better than that. It's like, no, I'm not. This is who I am. No better than this.
I just get you're not good enough for that.
Oh, see, that's different. That's someone saying you suck. You're
Oh.
better than this is someone saying you're good.
Oh, I've never heard it.